Tonight, our Carter Coyle is launching a new segment called Fact or Fiction. The goal is to separate the falsehoods from the facts.
So what is the deal with masks? Can they actually help stop the spread of coronaviruses, and who should be wearing them? Well, the quick answer is that masks can help, not just with COVID-19, but also for many types of viruses. If you're caring for someone who's infected, it is important for you both to wear a mask. The CDC says surgical masks and the much tighter fitting N95 respirators are helpful, but the N95s filter out 95% of airborne particles, large and small.
What that does is that prevents that patient from coughing, sneezing, or expressing droplets out that others could be contaminated with.
This is something I've seen circulating online quite a bit this week. It suggests that if you take a sip of water every 15 minutes, you can actually flush the virus into your stomach and it will be killed by stomach acids. Similar thing going around about sinus rinses, that using them can flush the virus out of your nose.
I wish that worked, but that's false. That's a myth.
Dr. Robert Oliverio with Roper St. Francis gives this method of fighting COVID-19 a thumbs down.
Really, the virus attaches to the lining of the throat and the nose and infects through there, amongst other places. So even though it sounds like it may work, I mean, these things aren't like pipes where you can just flush stuff out.
Infected droplets could get in through your mouth, your nose, even your eyes. There's also been some really scary advice circulating that you should gargle bleach or disinfectants to kill the virus. Obviously, that could kill you, and it is not true medical advice.
Early numbers in some cities show the coronavirus is disproportionately infecting African Americans. Carter Coyle takes a look at why that might be in today's Fact or Fiction.
In Chicago, 70% of people who've died from coronavirus are African Americans, who make up just 30% of the city's population.
That caught my attention right away.
Local community activist Pastor Thomas Dixon has been posting his concerns about the spread of COVID in the African American community.
There were early rumors put out that Black people were not susceptible, that this would not harm them. And so we have an entire community of people that are overlooking or ignoring the warnings and not following the guidelines because it's just business as usual.
In South Carolina, 36% of COVID cases are in African Americans, who make up 27% of the population.
Much of the time, we don't have access to quality health care, affordable health care. Many are walking around with undiagnosed conditions, pre-existing conditions that this virus is just looking for a host.
Whether it's your own backyard pool like this one or a big community pool, health experts say the important thing is getting the right balance of chemicals to kill all sorts of bacteria and viruses. According to the CDC, there is, quote, no evidence that the virus that causes COVID-19 can be spread to people through the water. Note the agency says in the water and through the water. That does not eliminate the possibility of the virus spreading at a pool or anywhere else if someone infected coughs, spits, or sneezes near you. If there is one plus side of all of this quarantining and isolating, it's that you get to stay home with your cats and dogs and spend more time with them than usual. But you might be wondering, can I catch this virus or other ones from my cat or my dog? Well, we took our questions to pet helpers here on James Island.
Nearly 100 animals in the facility. Cleaning is a priority here.
Natasha Donahue says some parts of the country are already seeing a surge in animal surrenders.
Hi, baby.
They hope that doesn't happen here.
Take her back to your house. Right now, the CDC doesn't have any significant evidence to indicate that our pets can pass the virus to us or that we can necessarily pass the virus to them.
However, if you coughed or sneezed on your pet and got infected droplets in their fur, she says those could transfer to the next person who snuggles up. Nursing shortages, stay-at-home orders, recommendations to wear masks in public. Sounds familiar, right? Well, it was also what people experienced in 1918 and 19 during a worldwide flu pandemic. This Facebook post claims that second wave resurgence was because people grew sick of social distancing measures. And while it's true people were openly celebrating Armistice Day, marking the end of the war in November 1918, the second wave was even more impacted by soldiers coming home in mass numbers.
Warm weather in the Lowcountry goes hand in hand with more mosquitoes. Those pesky insects are known for transmitting diseases. In tonight's Fact or Fiction, Carter Coyle asks whether coronavirus can be spread through mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes are not just a nuisance. Their bites can also spread diseases like Zika and West Nile virus. But what about coronaviruses like COVID-19?
We've not seen any data that links the transmission of coronaviruses via an entity like mosquitoes. That's not to say that we won't.
The American Mosquito Control Association says for a virus to pass through mosquitoes or ticks to people, the virus must be able to replicate inside the mosquito or tick. And thankfully, the CDC has no evidence that's happening with COVID. I think we are all enjoying these warmer temperatures this week and having a greater appreciation for the outdoors. One rather positive message spreading right now is that viruses do not like hot temperatures. So the hope is that as our season heats up, the COVID-19 spread will slow down.
In the case of certain viruses, heat or humidity can decrease the virulence, the infectivity of a virus, its ability to live on a surface for a long period of time. That happens in certain viruses. You know, we know a lot more about other viruses. We don't know a lot about this particular coronavirus.
Dr. Robert Oliverio with Roper St. Francis says for this claim, it's just too soon to tell. The World Health Organization reported that right now, COVID-19 is transmitting in areas even with hot and humid climates.
We really don't know whether or not there'll be a seasonal component to this.
There are some graphics circulating on Facebook and Twitter describing the chances of healthy people catching COVID-19, depending on whether they are wearing a mask. Our Carter Coyle fleshes out these questionable claims in tonight's Fact or Fiction.
The latest COVID-19 infographic claims that if a sick person and a healthy person are both wearing masks, there's only 1.5% chance of transmitting the virus. It also claims if only the sick carrier is wearing a mask, the transmission chance is higher at 5%. But it says if the sick person is not covered, even if the healthy person is, the probability of transmission jumps to 70%. One clue this is not real scientific evidence is that the graphics don't say what kinds of masks they're talking about when referring to transmission. Plus, they don't have a source for the statistics that they're using, so really we have no idea where they're getting these numbers from or where they originated online. The Centers for Disease Control are disputing that the numbers in those graphics are accurate.
As many as 130 million Americans may have received stimulus checks from the federal government. You may have been one of them. The goal is this: to help people during the coronavirus crisis and to boost the economy at the same time. But will you have to pay that money back? Well, Carter Coyle has the answers in today's edition of Fact or Fiction.
The short answer is no. The IRS website says there is no provision in the law requiring a repayment of a payment. Ever since the stimulus checks were first announced, there's been rumors we'd have to pay them back on next year's taxes or deduct the $1,200 from whatever tax return we were supposed to get next year. But the IRS spells it out. The payment is not includable in your gross income.